What's up to Lion Talk Live? We love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew? This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Oops. Well, we got something going on here. Hold on. Man, I'm not sure. Hey, boy, we've got the layout problems this morning. Hold on. I'm not sure what's going on here, but for some reason, I'm having a layout issue. So let me try to figure this out. I don't know. Maybe something new's happened on the programs, but I'll have to get into this momentarily while we try to figure it all out. Hey, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining me today. Hey, Lions Talk Live. Hey, there we go. Morning show edition. I got some things figured out. As you can probably tell from the thumbnail for this particular video, Lions might just have some news that we're all going to like. At least I'm going to assume most of us are going to like it. I guess I can't say everybody's going to like it. But it does appear that Brad Holmes didn't waste much time picking up the phone and looking up in the phone book the number for the Cincinnati Bengals, the general manager. We're going to get into all that during the main top of the day. I think, we've talked about this one all off season. Out of all the rumored people to be traded from their teams, that's a pass rush specialist or whatever, I do think this is the one that makes the most sense. Again, Trey Hendrickson to Detroit. We'll see, but we'll dive into it during the main top of the day. Real quick, before we get into the 5 headlines now, before we get into the main top of the day, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're making that march towards 13,300 subs. We are 30 subs away from it, so if you can help out with that, that would be great, and I surely would be thankful. Also, if you have half second of time, it's free of charge, doesn't cost a dang dime. Reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, hit all the buttons, hit the button for the button of the button, and see if we can help get the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, if you are looking for perhaps something to read, maybe you enjoy historical fictional novels, go ahead and go over to Amazon.com or wherever you find great reading literature and order yourself a copy of Kajora book. It is the first in a 9-part series, has to deal with Native American Japanese cultures meeting roughly about 1,000 years before Christopher Columbus got in his big boat and sailed the ocean blue in 1492. See if you may pick it up, like it. It does revolve around a lot of historical facts, but these are fictional characters allegedly. If you like the book, you like the story, don't be afraid to leave a kind review on Amazon.com or wherever you order that great reading literature. All right, let's get this show rocking and rolling and going. Let's get it heading on over into the first segment of the show. And as you know, that is 5 headlines now. All right, 5 glorious headlines. I think we got some nice ones here today. Hey, also, got to put one thing at the bottom of the screen. Dang it, got so much stuff going on today. They threw me off by messing my stuff up early. All right, anyway, well, it is what it is, I guess. All right, Lions predicted to trade for $97 million former All-Pro to improve their secondary. Athlon Sports, Johnny Vicario with this one. I might agree with some people. I might disagree with some people. I don't personally see the Lions making this move, but you know what? I've been wrong before. I think most of us agree if Carlton Davis walks, then the Detroit Lions may want to try to beef up their cornerback position, at least somewhat. And either that or they do have a lot of belief in Enos Rakestraw to come on in this season and step on into a bigger role. Davis is going to hit free agency, as we all know, next week. He's made some kind of, back and forth comments. Some stuff, hey, he really loves Dan Campbell, greatest coach he's ever played for, would love to be back in Detroit. And then he's made some other stuff that, hey, man, I'm not doing another one-year deal again. And not that that's a shot at the Detroit Lions by any stretch of the imagination. He's just simply said, hey, I'm not signing a 1-year deal. If you want me, if you're the team that's going to acquire me, you're going to have to pony up, probably give me a 2-3 year deal. He didn't say that specifically. I'm just kind of improvising and figuring out that's what he wants. But the Dallas Cowboys need help in a couple different spots. They probably need to draft a little bit of spots. Trayvon Diggs is somebody being suggested, and this is coming not from this just particular article, but you also have Pro Football and Sports Networks with Sterling E. Reporting that the Lions could be in negotiations to try to acquire Trayvon Diggs. Hey, Diggs, what a heck of a quarterback. I think anybody who's watched Aaron Glenn's defense in the past, and assuming Kelvin Shepard's going to hold somewhat to the same stuff, Diggs would probably fit right in, and you wouldn't have a significant move up or down, left or right, or whatever you want to say, if you were to move on from CD3 to Diggs. What would you say, Duke Crew? I'm not probably a fan of it. I think I'd rather just re-sign CD3 and not trade away draft capital or another good free agent cornerback, because there are a few. Now, I like CD3 just because he's been here. He's proven himself here. But what say you? Let me know in the comments section. Diggs, yes, Diggs, no, if you can't maintain and keep CD3. Let's see what you guys all have to say. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Former Lions wide receiver will be released by Jaguars. Story by John Macron of SI.com. And you know what? Boy, Josh Reynolds just can't catch a break, it seems like, in the last calendar year. Remember, it was about this time a year ago, he formally departed the Detroit Lions. During free agency a year ago. He had an offer from Detroit to return. He was an impactful player here in Detroit, made some big plays. And yes, unfortunately, the last game in his Lions career is probably one he wishes he could have back. The NFC title game against the San Francisco 49ers. We all get the story, but for those who don't, 4th and 2, Lions have a 17-point lead. Gambling man Dan Campbell says, hey, we're going to go for it. Goes to Jared Goff goes to Josh Reynolds on a short crossing pattern. Reynolds, if he catches it, the Lions have the first down. And to be honest, they probably win the game because you're probably going to take another, at the very least, 3 minutes off the clock, or at least right around 3 minutes. And you're probably at the worst setting for another field goal, pushing that lead up. I don't know. He didn't catch it, and the Lions went downhill from there, but it is what it is. Not only did Reynolds go from that moment, but then he went over and signed with the Denver Broncos, got shot at a strip club, was on IR for a while, then released from the Broncos, picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now released by the Jaguars. To say it's been a tumultuous year for Josh Reynolds, it's probably saying the least. You could probably even extend that to 18 months. By releasing Reynolds, they're going to save, or the Jags are going to save a little over $4 million in cap space. Could he come back to Detroit? It's possible for sure. I just don't think it's going to happen myself. I think the Lions are going to try to target probably a faster receiver, probably a little bit bigger body, either in free agency or the draft. I think that's going to be more the John Morton style. So we'll see if that actually holds water. Good luck to him wherever he goes and whatever happens to him. Because like I said, this guy's had one heck of a year. And not in a good way. Lions predicting to sign former Giants second rounder to bolster pass rush. The athletic Mike Jones. And you know what? As I get it, free agency is about to hit in a week, and you have a lot of people being speculated here, there, or wherever. But you do have multiple reports. You don't just have John Vaccaro with Athlon Sports. You also have the Athletics Mike Jones all reporting the same thing, that the Lions apparently are reaching out, or going to reach out, in their opinion, to former New York Football Giants edge Azeez Ojulari. And I'm probably killing that name, and don't hate me too bad for that. But anyways, when he was a rookie, he had a heck of a year. And then why would he be a Brad Holmes target? Because ever since then, he's been injured some more. His production's gone down because of the injuries and his lack of availability. But if you're Brad Holmes, you're just rolling the dice on somebody you can probably get pretty cheap, and not get into a bidding war with while giving up draft picks. I guess it does make a lot of sense from a Brad Holmes signing in those perspectives. Perspectives. In his first season, he racked up 8 sacks, 27 pressures, and 49 total tackles. Unfortunately, the rest of his career has happened. In his second season, Ojulari had just 7 games under his belt, responsible for 5.5 sacks and 13 pressures. He appeared in 11 games in his third season, but only managed 2.5 sacks. The past season, he once again played in 11 games, had 6 sacks, despite only playing on 58% of snaps. So his last season may have actually been a saving grace for him. I just think, man, it would be nice to get some players that you don't have to worry about being injured all the time. Not sure if that's going to be what Brad Holmes thinks, though. Brad Holmes loves to go dollar bin shopping or whatever you want to say, and it could be that the Lions do actually make a play for this guy. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. 10 defensive free agents that fit the Lions. SI.com, Christian Borer with this one. And before you guys ask, yes, Kurt Steele is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. If you're watching this on the tape delay or the replay, I guess the non-live version, that'll be about halfway through the show. All right, 10 free agents, Bower says will fit the Detroit Lions. Let's run through them. Not going to spend a ton of time on them. Edge Khalil Mack, we've talked about this guy, it feels like for a month now. Could he come in and be a part of a rotation? I think so. Is it going to be what the Lions do? Hey, man, give us about another week or two, and I'll let you know. There are going to be a lot of teams interested in him because Mack, while he's not what he once was, I mean, the guy is 4,900 years old. He still can get to the quarterback. He's still probably going to be a pretty sound NFL player. But to me, if you're going to really make this move, he's got to be probably a backup. And here's what I'm going to say. Is Khalil Mack going to be willing to be a backup? I guess you're splitting hairs if you start him or Zadarius Smith, assuming we keep them both. But one of those guys is going to have to sit. And probably that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for either of them, unless you're going to say, hey, Aiden Hutchinson is going to sit. And I don't see that happening. So what say you guys? Would you sign Mack? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Defensive tackle Deshaun Wharton. Wharton had a solid year in 2024 as he made the most of his opportunities in a contract year. After totaling 7 sacks in his first 4 NFL seasons combined, he broke through with 6.5 last year. Could he be someone the Lions would target? I think it's a position the Lions are going to target, whether in free agency or the draft or a combination of the both. So I would say Wharton is in play. Linebacker Dennis Garrick. Garrick had a solid all-around year with some potential versatility. He could be classified as an outside linebacker or edge rusher, depending on the scheme. So he checks multiple boxes for the Lions. I think he's someone in play. The next guy we all know, I think we would agree there's probably some level of interest, but maybe not a ton, and that would be Darius Slay. Darius Slay, I don't think his days of being a every down corner and locking somebody up in man-to-man principles, I don't think that's going to be his style at this point in his career. I thought he fit what Philadelphia did last year very well. Mostly zone coverage, relying on the front four to get pressure, keeping eyes in the backfield, not being exposed as much to one-on-one concepts. So if the Lions want to move him into the iffy role, I know I've talked about this before, I think it's maybe not a bad fit because you can move around, but I also think he's on limited time. You're probably getting him at a 1-year deal. I do think the end is near for Darius Slay. He's had a great career. Edge, Chase Young, not going to spend a bunch of time on this one. I think we all get it. He's a highly talented guy. Just that talent hasn't always emerged in games. So maybe he isn't that talented. You see a lot of potential. Maybe that's a better way to word it with Young. But other than his rookie year, that potential, for the most part, has kind of been hit or miss. You see flashes at times, but not sustained or consistent success. Linebacker Cody Barton. Martin is a veteran linebacker who fits the Lions' traditional mold for what they want out of their backer spots, especially if you're talking about the weak side or the sandbacker. A former third-round pick for the Seahawks in 2019, Barton has logged over 1,200 special team snaps across 3 different organizations. So we all get it. The Lions and Dan Campbell expect most of their starters, not all, to have some level of responsibility for special teams. Barton would fill in there. He probably would be a cheaper signing than Derek Barnes, I'm assuming, but you might be splitting hairs on what you'd be saving cost-wise. Won't spend a ton of time on Paulson Abdeo. We talked about him yesterday. Hey, if CD3 takes off, then you're probably going after him. This next one, Calais Campbell, I think even though he's, 39 years old now, I do see him being a fit here. He's probably someone who's also okay with being a rotational guy, maybe a temporary starter until Lee McNeil gets, fully healthy again. But I think when you look at who he is as an individual, what he brings to the table, he can play inside or outside. He does seem like a Dan Campbell type of hire. Jack Sanborn, linebacker, he's played for the Bears. I actually would not be upset by this. This guy does have a little bit of, Swiss Army knife to him. He can play a lot of different spots. Lions fans have seen him quite a bit over the years. Wisconsin product, has started 19 games and appeared in 48 overall in 3 NFL seasons with a lot of productions on special teams. So we all get that's going to be a requirement for probably anybody who comes in. Could be a Lion for sure. Cornerback Christian Fulton, another corner who is trending upwards. Fulton had a solid 2024 campaign that has certainly bolstered his stock for this upcoming year. And you guys know I love to talk about stocks from times. Let's see, he had 1 interception and 7 passes defended in 15 games a season ago, showcasing a lot of potential. That made him a second-round pick just 5 years ago. What say you guys? Any of these guys of interest to you guys? Let me know in the comment section. We'll go from there. All right, next and last of the 5 headlines now. This comes from Dave Burkett, who apparently had a bit of a conversation with Darius Slay. I know we just talked to him, but Darius Slay did tell Dave Burkett he would love to return to the Lions. Carlton Davis on his way out in free agency. Who knows what's going to happen with CD3, but real quick to Dave Burkett's point, there's a lot of interest from the Lions to potentially acquire him. He believes, Dave Burkett believes, with a free. I think he does a great job with the interview, has talked with him, has known him throughout most of his career, so they do have a bit of a, I guess you say, friendship or relationship or whatever you can say. If it's any teams I'd love to play for, you already know it's Philly or Detroit, Slay said on his Big Play podcast. We all heard that, I think it was about a week ago. Burkett does interview him, talks to him about what it would mean at age 34 to come back to the Lions. He says, hey, it'd be great to come and return to where he started. Understands that he's always loved the Detroit Lions and the fan base, but unfortunately, for a multitude of reasons, he was traded away. I think anybody who's watched this show, if you were around during the Quinn Trisha era, you know those reasons. They just kind of disrespected Slay, that regime, and then decided that once they had a conversation between coach and player, it was time for him to depart ways. We'll see what happens, but I would not be surprised if Slay did return on a 1-year deal and probably a cost-prohibitive one. I would encourage, if you have time this weekend, you're bored or whatever, maybe just pass some time. Check out the article by Burkett. I think he does a good job explaining why the Lions would want to bring him in, not just as a player, but more or less as a coach too, to help with Terrion Arnold, to help with Rakestraw, and if they draft anybody else this year, to try to help with that maturation process and development. So go check it out. All right, with all those done out of the way, let's get ahead and head on over to the main topic of the day as soon as I scroll up on the top of the screen and get that button. All right, main topic of the day. According to different reports, Lions Brad Holmes picked up the telephone and he dialed 7 digits. He did talk to the Cincinnati Bengals a little after 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday. And this is just a couple hours after Trey Hendrickson announced on social media he has formally requested trade from that organization, the Cincinnati Bengals. I get we all probably understand that Dan Campbell has a lot of familiarity with him. Same with Alex Anzalone. If Aaron Glenn was still here, they would have familiarity with him because they were all with the New Orleans Saints at the same time. We've talked all off season. This team needs more pass rush. We've also talked about Myles Garrett coming here. For a while, we talked about Max Crosby coming here. We also talked about in both of those gentlemen's situation, the expectation is that it's going to require multiple first-round picks to acquire him. So with that being said, I've reached out to a bunch of different people and said, hey, honestly, if the Lions go for Henrickson, what do you think the costs are going to be? And I've heard everything from a second-round pick, because Detroit's second-round pick is more or less a third round or the start of the third round. I've also heard, man, a 4th and a 5th-round pick, somewhere in that range. You did have Deebo Samuel get traded recently for a 5th-round pick. I just think wide receiver position look at free agency. Look at how many pretty sound wide receivers are out in free agency. If you want to make a statement why the Lions don't really need to worry about drafting someone to come in right away, there are about 4 billion quality wide receivers in free agency right now because that is such a saturated, drafted position. I won't be surprised if the Lions pick up a pretty good third wide receiver, whether it's Tim Patrick or whoever. We'll save that for another conversation. Pass rush, though, that's where I think you look across the NFL, and man, there just aren't a ton of really legit ones. You see everybody, including the Detroit Lions. We've spent a lot of draft capital during this regime's time here trying to acquire guys that get after the quarterback on a consistent basis. And if there's one thing that the Lions haven't done a great job drafting, it's probably pass rushing defensive end. Josh Pascal, hey, dude runs through a wall for anybody. Guys should probably have a cape and be a superhero in some Marvel movie. I get all that. Great at stuff on the run. Has moments he looks pretty good, but is he a consistent pass rusher? At least right now, my opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion, is that no, he's not. He once in a while has shine, other moments he doesn't. Levi Onwuzurike, they played him at end, they played him at tackled. If they do re-sign him, he's probably somebody who gets there sometimes, probably more viewed as a pass rushing defensive tackle than end. And you could probably go through a ton of other guys that I'm not thinking of off the top of my noggin right now. But the idea is this. The Lions want to be more like Philadelphia. You got to get guys that get after the quarterback. And it does sound like Brad Holmes didn't waste any time making that call and finding out what would it take for the Detroit Lions to go get him. Let's not forget, last year before the trade deadline, Brad Holmes has come out and admitted he talked to multiple different teams about acquiring people. And yes, one of them was the Cincinnati Bengals, and Trey Hendrickson. We don't know what the cost would be, but whatever it was, the two sides couldn't work it out this offseason. But this does show Brad Holmes did like him, had a level of interest in him, and just for whatever reason, it didn't work out. We also know from last offseason, and Brad Holmes, Dave Burkett did a big story on it too. Now that the time has been removed, the season's ended, Dave Burkett was able to confirm that the Lions talked to the Cleveland Browns about Myles Garrett, and obviously a deal was struck for Zadarius Smith, but it does sound like Brad Holmes was trying to get Smith and Myles Garrett. Didn't work out for a multitude of reasons. Lions didn't give up enough draft or want to give up enough draft capital. They didn't want to move off Hendon Hooker. It's crazy to me to think they could have done all that. But again, without knowing the draft compensation, I don't know why that deal didn't happen. What I can say is if you start doing the pieces, you start Scooby-Dooing, you look at what the Lions really need. If you can really honestly get Trey Hendrickson's for, I don't know, man, a third-round pick, the third-round pick you got for Aaron Glenn, I'd probably make that move today. And if it's a third-round pick and a sixth-round pick, I'd say, hey, just give us the player and a seventh-round pick back. We'll call it good. But that's what I would do. I am not a fan, and I've been on record for it feels like 10 years on this show now saying I'm not giving up if it's me, I'm not giving up 3 first-round picks or something like that for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, and I get Max Crosby is not on the table anymore. But what say you guys? Would you be upset or happy if tomorrow we wake up or next week we find out at the start of free agency the Lions did make a trade for Trey Henrickson? I could see us giving up maybe a second-round pick, but man, that to me still seems high for him considering he wants a new contract, considering his age. We talk about Myles Garrett being 29 going on 30 by next season. And, Hendrickson's, I want to say, is 31 going on 32. So, again, age is a bit of a factor. And no disrespect to Trey Henrickson, he's not Myles Garrett. He's pretty good. He's not Myles Garrett. But I do think if the Lions were able to go out and acquire him for a second or third or fourth or whatever it ends up being, you start looking at that Detroit front, that pass rush. If you're able to keep that first-round pick and you're able to say, hey, we're gonna have a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. We're going to have a healthy Zadarius Smith. And don't forget, Zadarius Smith was like number 10 in the NFL last year in pressures. So he is still able to get home. And now you add, a Trey Hendrickson. Maybe you still draft somebody in the first round. I don't know, a Nick Sorston or something like that. And you keep a Alaquin Muhammad. I always forget, it's Alaquin, not Al. But, you start having all those pieces. You start having a pretty good pass rush. And there could be some other guys that I'm not thinking of, so apologies to them. But what say you do, crew? Are you okay with this trade if it goes down? And what are you giving up to acquire him? Let me know in the comment section. Just say, hey, Trey first round pick. If you think you should give him a first round pick, let me know in the comment section. We'll go from there. All right, we've got about 7 minutes until Kurt the Hitman Steele gets over here. So let me get over and get some comments in here. And then I'll just have to cycle through the rest while talking to the Hitman himself. The man of steel himself. All right, I'm trying to get to the top of the screen. Apparently, we got a few comments here. All right, Frank, what up, though? Eastside, woo! Go Lions, back at you. JDC, morning all, and same to you. Marcus, good morning. Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point. Happy trade day. Happy trade day it is. Hopefully, we make a trade for Trey. Aaron, yo, what up, Doe? What up to you? Well, nice thumbnail, by the way. Big Eddie, great citations, Duke Crew, exclamation point. I've been saying this all off season. This is the move we need, and the one that seems in line with what Brad Holmes would be willing to do. I would agree with all the above, man. All the above. Marcus, I heard we could get Trey for a third, but we would have to sign him to an extension. I get the extension part, and to me, if you're really going to go out and get a free agent or make a trade, the extension part, the money, you probably can't get around it. Even if you're going to go for Khalil Mack and won't have to spend a draft pick, you're going to have to pay him. Those guys know there ain't many of us or pass rushers out there. And if you want somebody who's even legitimately somewhat, over the top, over average, you're going to pay that person, because if you don't, somebody else will. Jess, best of the morning to you, Coach and crew. First-time caller. Hey, well, welcome on in, my friend. Thanks for being a part of the Duke crew. Frank, I believe the Detroit Lions can win with the roster they have right now. Jared Goff, MVP, will have to throw for over 5,000 yards to get it because he's not a runner. I believe go Lions. Yeah, 100%. I think you're spot on with all that. Marcus, interesting fact, Trey was drafted by the Saints, correct, and played with Alex Anzalone and Campbell, was one of the coaches on the staff. Yeah, correct, 100%. Trey Dipson, what do you got? What's good, everybody? Question mark. So if we go and get Trey Hendrickson, what's the cost? That's the big debate, ain't it? I can't imagine it'll be several first or second rounders. No, I don't think so. And I want to say I was driving back from practice yesterday, and there was some show, I can't remember which one it was, saying, well, Lions might have to give up their first rounder, but if you give up your first rounder, you're got to get more than just Hendrickson back. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you give up your first and get their second. I mean, I'm just Scooby doing it, so don't shoot me if I'm wrong. All right, Marcus, Trey Tips. I'm hearing we could get Trey for a third, but would have to sign him to an extension. Yeah, sounds about right. Troy, I have to believe if Hendrickson's price isn't that high, it could possibly bring down Garrett's to a degree. Ooh. I mean, it's possible, but without knowing, I don't really think you're going to see a team give up 3 first rounders for Myles Garrett. Maybe 2, and then maybe get some lower round picks back from the team you're trading with. I don't know, though. We'll see how things pan out. Marcus, they've got a lot of good pass rushers on the market. They are, and you notice they're all, for the most part, a little bit older. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach and Duke crew! Exclamation point! What a team! What a podcast! Thank you for that. What a time to be a Lions fan. Woo! Go Lions! Same to you, my friend. Silver Server, good morning, Coach and everyone, and to you. Trump's good morning to all. We'll go with that. Let's see, Silver Server. Sure, Hendrickson, Detroit, same as Garrett. We'll never know until it happens, right? JDC, Puff, woo! Coffee and Lions Talk Live. Sounds good to me. France, good day to all. I like the idea of adding Trey, as it would allow us to more than likely maintain our first 2 rounds of draft capital. Okay, yeah, and I see what you're saying. To me, if you make the move, I probably would try to make a move for another, defensive tackle, edge or something like that in the first round. The second round, I probably would focus on offensive line. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Off to the gym and listen in. Good luck to you and the team tonight, Coach Dan. Yeah, big game tonight. Hey, it's playoff game. We're in round 3 of the playoffs. Let's see if we can get the first title of this offseason. All right, Frank, I love Henrickson, but I don't like players that seek trades and they're only thinking about yourself. Go Lions. Yeah, and without knowing his full story, because I don't know if there's some sort of rift between management and him, what the situation is. It's hard for me to say, man. All right, so Lions will use all their big money to resign their own players. If there is some spare change, then in free agency. Yeah, that would be what they've done in the past for sure. Man Bear, good morning, all. Have a wonderful day. Same to you, my friend. Frank Tank, that's right, Silver Sir. Pay the players you know and you draft. Does it matter if we don't like them or not? We're just fans. Watch this team and enjoy it. We have not won anything yet. Yeah, 100% there. Just have some fun with it. JDC Trey Henrickson, calm down. You're the next contestant. Come on down, indeed, but 100%, my friend. 5 fingers ready, laughing at JDC. And good morning, Duke Crew Gang, and to you, Hetman. Good morning, all, and back to you, my friend. Quentin, greetings, salutations, y'all. I make the move, but I ain't giving up more than a 4th around the pick. Okay, yeah, if you can get them for a 4th, I think that would not be bad, man. Hetman, Molly, the mascot, says hi to the Duke Crew, and tell her we said hi as well. So small. When does free agency begin? Anyone know the date? It's next week. I want to say Tuesday. Is that right? Somebody let me know in the comment section. I want to say Tuesday at 4 o'clock or something like that. JDC, hi back at Molly. Woo! We'll go with that. Frank, think. Did this team make a big splash in a big name for a lot of people? No. We'll see you at the trade deadline next season. Go Lions. Okay. Voltron, Coach, I'm telling you, make this move and trade up for Mike Green. Man, that's an idea. What it would cost to go up and get him. And I guess it ultimately just depends on how far he falls. If he can fall to like number 20 or 23 or something like that, I could see us making that move. And yes, to your point, you get Hendrickson, along with Zadarius Smith, along with Alaquin Muhammad, along with Aiden Hudson, and now you throw in a Mike Green. that's a bit of a rotation. You should be able to get some pressure consistently on quarterbacks, I would think. All right, Marcus, I forgot Trey played with Raider too. This is true. Yeah, from Cincinnati. All right, one or two more, and then we got to bring on the special guest of the day. Hetman, hey, coach, it's the Bengals, not Bengals. That happens, man. I'll fix it later on. All right, Pat Rock, I wouldn't be upset with that rotation. No, me either. Hardy, good morning. I just saw Trey at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. He was getting off the flight. Well, maybe he's got a jumper plane somewhere else. You never know. And I just had a bagel. Enjoy the bagel, my friend. JDC, Dreyfus rocks. Any rolls? Bing, Hardy, I doubt since we can't trade for him until the season begins. Yeah, you know, timing is everything, right? Johnny L, yada yada, Dude Crew. Good morning, Dude Crew, and back at you, Robert. Greetings, crew of Dude. Yes, indeed. All right, guys, let's go ahead and reach on over to our special guest of the day. You guys all know him. You love him. He is the host of the Boss Up, Ball Out podcast, the man with the most, the guy that's up maybe earlier than I am. Kurt Steele, what's going on this morning?
What up, though, man? Hey, what's going on, my guy, man? Hey, shout out to the Duke Crew. Good morning, everyone.
All right, so let's talk about it. Let's dive into this. You've got speculation about this guy, that guy, and everybody else in between being traded to the Detroit Lions, signed in free agency. There's a whole lot of stuff going around, and I get it's the offseason. That's what everybody talks about. Mm-hmm. But this trade, to me, if the Lions were to actually make a trade for a pass rusher, seems like one, in my wisdom, doesn't have to be yours, seems like one of the more realistic ones. What do you think about Trey Hendrickson potentially coming to the Lions?
I like the move. It's similar to the Myles Garrett trade. This is probably a little less financial burden on the Lions for that, and a little less draft capital for the Lions bringing him over. I don't think it'll cost as much as it would for a player like Myles Garrett. So I think you probably can swing it for a third or a fourth round draft pick to get him over. He has some history with Dan Campbell down in New Orleans, so I can see that as a possibility for the Lions to make that trade. I like the trade. Does it move me? Yes. Does it move me as much as Garrett? No. But I think it's something that we could do.
So I guess the big question is going to be, if they were to make it, what do you think that the cost would be?
Like I said, for Hendrickson, I'm thinking the most is a second, but I'm thinking around a third round. That third round pick we got for AG going to the Jets. So yeah, I'm thinking a third.
All right, so for a moment, let's just Scooby-Doo this. You go ahead and make this move,
Mm-hmm.
Third, second, 59th round pick, whatever it may be. What do the Lions now do? Do you think it changes any of their draft priorities where maybe they would do something different in the first or second round?
No. I think they still address the trenches. I think there's still a need before long-term success. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at that for your long-term, because Trey Hendrickson, you look at him still, he's 30, just like Myles Garrett. They're not long-term solutions. They're not guys that's going to sign multiple contracts in Detroit. It's probably a one and done. So I still think that they address it will still address some young players in the draft, players in need.
So if you're the Lions as the offseason approaches here, and we are just, literally less than a week away from free agency beginning, what do you think are some priorities that they should target in free agency, if anything?
You still have to address the secondary, just because of the fact that you have a guy like either a CD staying with the Lions or leaving the Lions. That's the opposite of Terry Arnold is going to be important. And just because of the fact that I heard you talk about Rick Straw, I'm not sure he's ready to step into a starting role right now. I just don't see that.
Right.
If they do something with the secondary, besides a corner, maybe a safety, and move Branch back to nickel. I do like Branch at safety in that rotation. And I don't get me wrong, I like Amik Robertson. I like him better in the nickel than I do outside. I mean, everyone's raving about the one game he had against Jefferson, but
right.
You saw what happened when we played the Bears, man, and those bigger receivers like Roma, they were just bodying them up, because Jefferson's a he's a tall and lanky, but he's not a body. He's not a physical receiver.
Right.
Like you can knock him up his route pretty easy. You know what I'm saying? You get a bigger defensive back on him, man. Like, and Amik Robinson was handling him, breaking him off his routes. But you get a guy like, you get some bigger receivers like that. Yeah. You just like people were talking about DJ Reed. I'm like, absolutely not. Because he's the exact same size as Amik Robinson. Both those guys are like 5'9". So I'm like, nah.
So in the five headlines now, we had a story from a couple different reporters that if the Lions can't resign CD3, that maybe they go after Diggs from Dallas. Do you think that's a good fit that you'd have to trade for him? Or do you think maybe there's another current free agent out there? Or do they just go to the draft?
I like Diggs. I like his talent. However, I mean, like he didn't have a great year last year.
Oh, he didn't.
So he did not. So I don't know if he's on a decline or not. But is he a Dan Campbell type player?
That I can't answer.
I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying, is he? You look at him and you look at his brother. Not saying that they're the same because one's different than the other. They're both their own man, but I'm not sure the Diggs is a fit in the culture of Detroit. That's just me.
Okay. So, all right, Lions got some guys that are probably going to have to get extensions sooner versus later. There was a report a couple days ago, I want to say 2 days ago, that Kirby has begun, or Kirby's representation has begun having conversations with the Lions. End of the day, I think most of us agree he's going to be resigned, but what do you think the cost ultimately is going to be to keep Joseph in Detroit?
That's good. Probably around 14, 15, something like that. That's what I'm looking at, the compensation per year. No, I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, because you can bonuses and workout bonuses and incentives. But you're looking at a guy who was an AP All-Pro last year and led the league in interceptions. He drove the price up last year.
He did.
So, I mean, I can't say that, I can't say he would be like, we can get for around 10 or 9 or 10. I'm like, nah, that's not. You're going to look at, anywhere between probably 13 to 15, somewhere around that area a season.
You look at the Lions as a roster. I mean, the roster as well as anybody. When you look at them, what do you think they need to do to upgrade this roster, maintain their position, not just in the NFC North, but in the NFC overall? What are some big things that the Lions organization needs to achieve this offseason?
Depth at the offensive line. It has to be something where they need to address. I'm not saying bringing in, a whole bunch of big names, but, guys that are serviceable. And I think they have a good a mix right now, but, they don't have a good backup center for Frank Ragnow. If you look at it, besides Graham Glasgow, and is he still going to be here this year? And if you look at it, I'm just looking at it overall. I think we have decent depth at most positions. Maybe another wide receiver on defense, add another linebacker, or bring back Barnes, of course, and then of course in the secondary, one more corner, one more safety. I don't think if he's it, and just in case if CD doesn't come back, you need to add someone.
Do you think the Lions try to resign Iffy, or do you think they're just going to let him walk, or any other guys?
With Iffy, I'm looking at him, and I like Iffy as far as a person, but as a player, he fits that old saying, best ability is availability, and he just doesn't have it right now. He hasn't had it but one season in Detroit.
Okay. Derek Barnes, Levi Onwuzurike, any other, Kevin Zeitler, any other free agents you think the Lions try to bring back?
I think they try to bring back Levi. I think and Zeitler, because of all the moves they made in Chicago. I think now it's more of a thing where you can get Zeitler back just because of the fact of all the interior offensive linemen they brought back in Chicago. I know Chicago is one of the places that he was saying he wanted to go play, but you look at Tooney and you look at Jackson, those guys going there. people talk, well, Tooney was a tackle. Well, no, Tooney's the actual interior lineman. He actually just went out to play tackle, but his natural position is a guard or in the interior or center. But yeah, I'm looking at that. So if we keep the guys that we have on staff, I think we'll be okay. As far as the offensive line, if you can re-sign Zeitler, you move Mahogany to starter, and you move Graham to the backup role as backup center or backup rotational guard, that would be the best. And then you still have Yodi on there. I think that's the best situation for me right now at the guard position. Bring Zeitler back for one more year. Maybe draft a guy he can mentor to take over for him when he retires. And that the defense, you just have to. I think you have to have a more mature starter out there, opposite of Terry Arnold. I like Terry Arnold. I think he will grow into a CB1. I don't think he'll be a CB1 this year. I think you got to give him one more year. And this corner is a hard position to do that, just to come in. I mean, you look at a guy like a Sauce Gardner. That's rare that you can have a guy that with that much, first team All Pro as a rookie. That just doesn't happen that often at that position. So I like our safeties. So yeah, I mean, I do like our safeties. Actually, I like it more with Branch and Kirby than I do with Branch and Kirby and Iffy. So I would say bring it a corner, and you slide a Meek back inside and have a corner out there on the edge. So and maybe sign someone maybe more skilled than a Vildor. He's all right, but I think we need to move on from him, man. Good person, but he's a Nevin Lawson, a Monte Aurorier type of guy where he just doesn't get it in the big games.
So when you look at the Lions, I mean, not a big secret here. We get it. They've had a ton of injuries last year. Mm-hmm. How many of these guys do you think are back by open, training camp and ready to perform at a high level, or do you think there's some of them that you're probably looking at somewhere during the season they'll be able to become available?
Yeah, I talked about this before. You look at the guys that I'm really worried about coming back. I think we can get back Barnes if he resigns. We can get him back for camp. I think we can get back Hutch for camp just because their injuries happen so early on in the season. The guy that I'm probably worried about the most being back toward the beginning of the season is Aleem McNeil. You just don't see that fast of a turnover for an ACL. Now, I don't know if it was a complete tear or not, because if it was a partial tear, sometimes you can get a guy back sooner rather than later, but you don't want to rush it, especially at the position he plays, being down in the trenches. So you want to make sure his knees is straight. So that would a guy who would probably worry me the most going into training camp would be him. Dorsey and those guys like that. Those are because a lot of the guys that we had on IR were role players, rotational players. But the starters, Hutch, Barnes, and McNeil are the guys that I will focus on. And the guy that will worry me the most is Aleem McNeil.
Okay. And then the last question I got for you today, man, that I know you got to get ready for your show. You look at the Lions coaching changes, the carousel of guys that have come in and stuff. Mm-hmm. You've heard me talk about it before. I think it's going to take a few regular season games, maybe the first month, to really kind of get everybody on board the same page with what these new guys want. What's your expectations out of John Morton, out of Kelvin Shepard? How quickly can they really get the offense and defense to play at a high level?
I think it'd be easier for Shep because of the fact that he runs the same run. Pretty much is going to run a similar system to AG, maybe some perks here and there. Sure. For Morton, I think it's going to be more of a challenge just because of the fact that he wants to change some things as far as deep shots down the field. But one thing I look forward to is all the gadgets will probably not be as often, and it won't be as what do you call that?
Prevalent.
It just won't be more of a pretty offense. It'll be more grinded to your face. They're still gonna take their shots. They're still gonna do what they do best. Play action, center the field. And there's with some deep shots down there mixed in, but I don't think it'll be more of I don't think you're going to see a lot of hook and ladders with John Morton at the helm.
Okay. Well, hey, as always, I want to thank you for jumping on a Friday. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out? Tell everybody about you, your channel, where they can find your great content.
All right, you see the logo, man. That's the logo, man. It's the Boss Up Ball Out podcast. We will be on this morning. My man, Coach Jones, is going to join me, so we'll be live at 8:00. Just talking Hendrickson and Bosa and some other stuff, some latest Detroit Lions news and rumors. Check out our YouTube channel, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to hang out with the Duke crew, man. And I always appreciate you guys, how you support when y'all come over from over here. Y'all come over right over to my channel and hang out with us. So we'll be live today for about a half an hour. You know how we do it. We like dominoes on Friday mornings, man. We 30 minutes or less. So come out and hang out with me and my man, Coach Jones.
All right. He is the host of the Boss Up Ball Out podcast. He is the host of the most. He is Kurt the Hitman Steele. Go check him out. And Kurt, as always, man, thanks for coming on over.
Thanks for having me, brother. Talk to you guys later.
We'll see you now. All right, let's get back over to the Duke Crew comments section and see what you guys have to say. One fun guy, I'd still rather just trade for Harold Landry. Could be an option for sure, 100%. Lions bad guy, Lions fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like we need Garrett to get better and win the whole thing. Like a player, this would do it, plus some other pieces. Am I wrong? No, I think Myles Garrett would be great for sure. I like the idea of Trey Hendrickson just because I don't think there's that big of an age difference. Skill difference, sure. But I also think to a certain degree you're splitting hairs. Do you need, I like Henderson, as I've said before, just because I think you can keep your first and second round pick, where if you're going to go for Myles Garrett, you're probably having to give those up. All right, Dr. Troy, Brad is 2-7 on the defense line. Yeah, I would say that's about right. Landry might be a decent pickup. Could be, for sure, 100%. Motown, Holmes is not getting Myles or Hendrickson because Holmes is not into selling the future like the Rams. No, and that's why I'm saying Motown. I think if you were to go for it, make a trade, this is the one that makes the most sense for me because, in my opinion, I think you're going to ultimately be able to get him for about a third, maybe a fourth rounder. All right, Donnie, Brad is going to resign Davenport and sign Cleomac, maybe. And to be honest, I wouldn't be horribly upset if that was the case. Again, because if you can get Mac or whoever, Zadarius Smith, to agree to be the backup, then you've got those guys rotating. Davenport wouldn't have to start. He could be more of a rotation guy with Alquin Muhammad, and you could still go out and sign, draft somebody in the first round or second round or whatever it may be. All right, Pierce, Dr. Detroit. Bosa will be the guy. He is always hurt. Ooh, that's a good thought there. You can hate me now. If we gotta lose Davis to get Trey, so be it. Just sign Slate and put him back there, and we're good. All right. Dr. Detroit, Motown or the Eagles? Okay, Motown or the Eagles it is. The Detroit Lions bad guy, I'm good with Davenport coming back, being like third string. Yeah, and that's what I was just saying. If he's going to be a rotational guy, not an every down guy, I think he, can stay healthy longer, at least hopefully, and then whoever you draft can also be a part of that rotation. Aaron, Donnie Brasco, he is not washed, but he is not the same player he was. What y'all expect? He is 34 years old. Correct with that. That's why I think he'd have to be more rotational. Dr. Troy, Brad ain't into going for a Super Bowl. He just wants to build a good, cheap team. I agree. All right. One funky. Doc Landry supposedly can be had for a third, and you add in a few day 3 picks, they will eat some of the cap. He's definitely on upgrade over Barnes. I'll go with that. Yeah, probably a good upgrade over there. Dr. Troy, I agree. Keith, good morning and greetings, salutations. Dan of the Duke Crew, back at you. Hopefully it's a phenomenal start to your day. JK, we might not get Trey or Myles. It's someone else, I bet. Yeah, we'll find out. All will be revealed, I guess you could say, in the next month and a half. Now, Detroit also sounds like a Brad pick up other than the money. Yes, I would agree with that, 100%. Donnie, Aaron, I expect us to move over Slay is cooked. I think the Eagles pass rush would make Vildor look like an all-pro. Probably a lot of truth to that. And it's no disrespect to any of those guys in their second or third layer of defense, but their jobs are vastly improved from a difficulty standpoint by the fact that, that pass rush is getting there pretty quick. JDC, go Lions, go Tigers, and back at you. Frank, think that's funny. That's what a lot of people said about me. Robinson, too small. Come on, man. You should know better than that, dude. Go Lions. All right. Josh, Trey Henrickson to Detroit by today or Monday afternoon. I'd be way okay with that. Let's see, Dr. Detroit, Donnie, the Evans don't get that. All right. Pierce, Dr. Detroit, he could be had for Davenport money. Bosa, all right? Doubt it, says Dr. Detroit. Pierce, didn't Davenport get like $10 million? I don't remember his contract, to be honest, Pierce. Somebody wants to look it up and throw it in the comment section. Thank you. Aaron, Brad signed Davenport. I'm questioning his decision-making during free agency. He might as well not participate in free agency. All right, Dr. Detroit. Yeah, Pierce, that sounds like Brad Holmes' guy. Phil, folks, this is a Lions show. Dan, why would you the same and does? You don't call him a bully. Yeah, all right. Call who a bully?Maybe I missed something. Donnie, Trey isn't coming here. He's getting $15 million this year. He wants at least 18 to 19 per. Hutchinson wants 35 a year. Kirby Joseph, J-Mo Branch has to be paid soon. Yes, agreed with all the above. All right, Don Kong, let's go Pistons. Yeah, they've been doing pretty well this season. Coach Rock, good morning, Kurt, and back at you. Josh, let's go Lions. Pierce, Dr. Troy, if Davenport got such as much as I think he did, we could just give Bosa that contract. All right, Dr. Troy, anyone with a history coming off injury who can get cheap, that's a Brad Holmes guy. Then we wonder why the whole team is injured during the season. Laughing out loud. Dunk Kong. Yeah, honestly though, Trey was never even an option for the Lions. All right, Donnie, Bosa is going to play with his brother. Yeah, might be. Rondo of North Carolina. I really enjoyed the discussion. I'd use a third. However, we really need to look at all these options together with the cap. Goff, Amara, Aleem, Panay, Decker, Ragnow eat up a lot of cash. Others will be on that list for sure. Pierce, I think Decker gets cut in 2 more years. Yeah, I want to say he's got 2 years left on his contract. Maybe I'm wrong with that, Pierce. JK signing back Denver. Sounds like a Brad moves ideally. Yeah, probably. Pierce, when we got to pay Branch and Laporta. Yeah, they'll be coming up in 2 more seasons, I want to say. Silver Sir, by the way, I really believe that Terrion Arnold is much better than I hear sometimes in the chat. We forget how physical he plays. No picks. So what? Mitchell at his first in the playoffs. That's also true. Very true. Donnie Decker's last year is this year. All right, we'll find out. Pierce, Donnie Brasco, Decker signed an extension midseason. He did sign an extension. Great Legs, Zettler is the most important free agent we have. We will see what happens when Crazy Legs gets pressured. He's not the same quarterback. Our offensive line may be more important than our defensive line, honestly. Yeah, I would say most quarterbacks do not perform as well when they're under pressure. I mean, there's rare exceptions, but I get it. We all say Jared Goff isn't the same when he's under pressure. I struggle to really think of too many quarterbacks that are the same under pressure. DM5 TV, Davenport is only 28. He can get after the quarterback if he stays healthy. Correct. Don Kong, TA will be good. Donnie, Pierce, Trey, but you're seeing guys get cut with 2 years left on his contract. All right. Pierce, if we lose Zettler, I'd be fine with Sheriff. All right. Ed, or Mr. Ed, excuse me. Are there any Lions players that might retire this year? None that I can think of. I mean, maybe after next year. I mean, it's always possible, right? True, says Donnie. Pierce, Donnie, true. It all depends on the cap damage it does cutting them. Correct. That's always a consideration. JK needs to stay healthy, just like Hutch needs to have to stay healthy. I'll go with that. Great Lakes, I would only keep Davenport for the league minimum. Duct tape the whole body. Arnold will be very good. End of the season, it was noticed when he was out. Yeah, he was noticed for sure. JDC Broski, if you're out there, are you going to bet again this year? Whew, that's a good question. And yes, Broski's in the chat. And I wonder if Broski's going to make any more bets this year. Don Kong, Hooker might retire once he realizes he has no trade value. We'll see. I'm guessing he's going to stick around, try to get as many contracts as he can. I mean, that's his profession, right? Donnie Brad Holmes is all about making stars through the draft. Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, Sewell, Joseph, etc. Not signing stars. It's not his opinion. Okay. Pierce, my final Hooker prediction, Jets trade us a 4th for him. All right. Can we trade that 4th for Trey Henrickson? JK, if Brad keeps Hooker, he won't be playing starter for 3 more years. It's very sad. It is what it is. It's the best player is going to win that spot. If Hooker comes in and he's clearly better than Goff, I have no doubt Dan Campbell's going to play Hooker. I don't think he's going to say, well, Jared Goff's got a contract. I got to keep him on the field. Hey, it's like most things in life. If you're simply better, you're the one who will get it. That's my belief, at least. Silver Server, come on, fellow. Iffy is great, but our 4th season, he could never stay healthy. That is no accident. That is fragility. Fragility, yeah. Best wishes for Iffy, though. Yeah, good guy. Heck of a guy. Thanks for doing the intro and all that stuff. You just can't stay healthy. Pierce, Barnes and Iffy going to the Jets. Book it. All right. Donnie Hooker goes in a trade for a player. Brad Holmes will make a trade, just one that we didn't see as a big name till we research it. Amik Robinson type. Yeah, could be totally true. JK Iffy is on thin ice with me personally. Okay. Well, did he do something to upset you? Let's see. Silver Hooker probably already has his next home determined, and it ain't Detroit. All right. We'll find out soon. Don Kong, I like to just trust in Brad and enjoy life. Exclamation point. It's been so long since Dan, Sheila, and Holmes got together. Life is good. They've done a great job resurrecting the franchise for sure. Bootscar Blade, agreed 100%. Don Kong, Donnie, Donkey, that's a very true and underrated statement. All right. Jim Reaver, big play Slay is an upgrade over Vildor, my guy, even on his 40th birthday. Well, could be true. Great Lakes, Garrett will cost 2 first-round picks versus 1, though, plus some. All right. Chuck E. Cheese, what up, Coach? What's up with you? Hopefully you're having a good start to your day. JK, if Brad Holmes in the front office trade for another Donovan Peoples-Jones, we're just going to have to trust that regardless. Yeah, probably true. Great Lakes, I would personally rather trade 2 first-round picks for a top 10 this year. We need cheaper contracts to retain our own guys. Could be that could be a contributing factor in the long run. Yes. Woodskar, don't know how we place Slay plays anymore, especially at 34. But I am not one to want to bring back old players for sentimental reasons. Yeah, I mean, he was a great player when he was here. Is he still that guy? I don't have a clue. Great Lakes Hendrickson had 17 sacks. Garrett had 12. That is also a factor. Don Kong, I love Slade, but yeah, man, 34 is just so old. And Darryl Green played at a high level at that age. He did. And I want to say Darryl Green played till nearly 40. Dynamite, third for in 2026 for Hendricks. I'd be down with that. Johnny Gas Sports, still can't see them making a big move. I wouldn't mind if Bosa moved, but I think he ends up in San Francisco. Happy Friday, Duke Crew, and back at you. And reach out to me, Johnny. We got to get you back on the show sometime. Anyway, then draft his replacement this year. Probably what they would do. I think you're spot on with that. Don Kong, only Darryl Green played at a high level at that age. Yeah, and he still had wheels, man. Could still fly. Great Lakes, Mac is an injury machine. Bosa, too. Pass for that money. All right. Moonscar Blade. Yes, Darryl Green was the exception, not the rule. Also, different time when most quarterbacks didn't throw for so many yards. True. Chrome. Dan, Chrome. Donkey Kong. True that, Moonscar. Good point. Pastor Ben, Coach Dan, what's the available currently? What's available currently? Think Brad is going to nail a top edge rusher plus sign Davis. Mr. Zeitler will come out of this in great shape. Super Bowl bound for sure. We'll see. We'll have a real good idea in about the next 6 weeks what ultimately is going to happen with this team. Chuck Cheese, what having Garrett will solidify it? Okay. Let's see. Josh, trade for Hendricks, 3rd round in the draft to tomorrow for Monday afternoon. I will see if that happens that fast. I'd be okay with it. DM5, keep Zedarius, keep Davenport, get Hendrickson, keep Muhammad, and draft 2 edges. Also, you got to bring back CD3. I'd be okay with every move you just mentioned. Trim Reaper, so many heavy set friend said called him fat was like using I called okay. All right. Great Lakes. Exactly, Donnie. I'm all pro cornerback exactly, Donnie. An all pro cornerback will look bad when a quarterback has 15 seconds to throw from a launcher. This is also true. Got to get pressure. Donnie, Trey will definitely cost more than a 3rd round pick. That's funny. All right. Miles Barker. Let's see. Yeah, Johnny Gas Sports. I know, right? JK, just got to get as much depth at defensive end because they're getting expensive. You're right, DM5. Yeah, they are getting pricey, man, because, hey, you got to get to the quarterback. Trim Reaper, what up, Johnny Gas? Woo! JK, ASAP. DM5, JK, I think they did something like that. Our defense would be okay for a Super Bowl run. I think so, too. JK, yes, M5, TV, agree. Great Lakes, move Decker to guard. If Zettler retires, draft the Ohio State guy for tackle. All right, could be what they were thinking. Scott, one thing nobody talks about on here is Garrett from the Lions makes more sense for 3 reasons. 1, motivated Super Bowl, not money. 2, will more with a team to restructure. Will work with the team more to restructure his deal. 3, keep rivals from him. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Keep him away from somebody else. Do you want him on your sideline or their sideline? JK, there's the formula to that point. Part. Okay, Donnie, move Decker to guard. He can't take this. All right. Chuck E. Cheese, he's not going to get caught. He's going to get retired. All right. Scott talking about Garrett is like beating a dead horse. It's been talked about until nausea. All right. Harrisville, poor guy getting paid millions to sit on the bench and practice. Yeah, tough life and work when you can get it, right? But to be fair, that's why so many quarterbacks, if they want to stick around a league a long time and be a backup, they can do it. All right, let's see, Great Lakes win before we can't afford Laporta, Gibbs, and all the other guys that do it in the next 2 years. So yeah, it'd be great if we could. Ken, yes, update the offense line. Finally, someone talking about that. Have to keep it a strength for this team. Have to in order to keep Goff comfortable in pocket and keep the running game dangerous. I agree with all the above. Moonscar, Don Brasco, agreed 100%. DM5 TV, I've learned my lesson betting on Lions to win the Super Bowl. Last 2 years, I've lost only on prop bets with Lions players. I did well with that, over 11K. Okay, congrats to you. Trade Martin for a water cooler. And we'll see if they do that, Great Lakes. Ken, Glasgow backup needs backup tackle and someone at center in case Ragnow gets hurt or retires. All right. Phil, I wonder why Sheila has disappeared. She was very visible the first few years. I just don't think they need her, really. I mean, everything's been going pretty well. That's at least my thought. Here's Phil. Plenty of quarterbacks never get to start more than a game or two and have long careers. Hendon is doing better than 99% of the people in chat, so I definitely don't feel bad for him, laughing out loud. Sorsdale isn't cutting it anywhere on the offensive line, says Ken. T-Bones, thanks for Davenport love, laughing out loud. Great Lakes, Daryl Rivas did too, all right? Donnie, just best to beat the brakes off Chicago, or that will be the goal this year. Pastor Ben, Coach Dan, good luck tonight. I will be watching. What time is it start? I want to say 7 o'clock is the start time, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my noggin. Phil, will the glut of free agents drive prices down? Yeah, ultimately, to its extent, for sure. Dave, Hendricks will probably cost a second or a first with a pick back. I would do it, okay? I would do it, okay? Phil, good luck in the playoffs, Coach. Hey, round 3 is here. We'll see what happens tonight. Moonscar, Phil, I don't think so. The increase in the cap that has Netflix cash, okay. The Great Lakes, Decker played hard Ohio State more than half his career, okay. Guard, correct. Michael, why not Crosby? He just got a new deal from the Raiders. JK, I still think that Brand will draft defensive end. Me too. Trim Reaper, you're slaughtering my silly joke, Coach. Laughing out loud. All good. Thanks for that. Hookadoo, happy trails, dude. Crew. Grit wins. It does indeed. Great Lakes, have a great day all. Same to you. JK, Crosby got an extension. He did. Mr. Detroit City, if anybody is looking to rent a nice house in Auburn Hills, well, let me know, right? Coach, I need your help. Only handle rentals. Unfortunately, I do not handle rentals. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. If you would be so kind, before checking on out, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something nice for somebody you don't know. Be a good human being, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, all. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.